Hello there everyone and welcome to our new release blog hop. We really do hope that you enjoy this and that you keep hopping along for more inspiration. If you want more inspiration, please subscribe as well. I'm going to be making 4 different projects here, but I'm only going to be stamping once. So to start, I am going to be using the Stamp Wheel 2.0 and I also have a 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock that I've popped in there. The stamp set that I'm going to be using is the new anniversary stamp set. So this is really big and I do need to extend my little platform a little bit. So I'm just adding another ultra sticky mat on the side, just on the side piece, so I can have a kind of level platform all the way across this stamp. The stamp is the Flourishing Bouquet and this is our newest big stamp set and you can see just how pretty this is. So we have this large image here. So I'm going to ink this up using my Obsidian ink pad. This is my favorite black ink of all time. And as you can see, this does take some time to ink up. So I'm going to make sure that this is all perfectly inked up before I do stamp it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip that over and then stamp that down. And this is going to cover nearly the whole piece of this 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. You are going to need to make sure that you've put pressure on all of this before you lift it up to make sure that you have that stamped perfectly. But if you're using the stamp wheel, don't worry, you can definitely stamp in again to create the perfect image. I've then taken the piece of cardstock and I've added that to my large sticky mat. And I'm then going to use the fabulous stencils that goes with this stamp set to colour in the image. So first up, I am going to be colouring in the kind of little leaves that we have here. So these are the flourishing ones that we have on the side. And for this one, I am going to be starting with the jade. When I am ink blending, I'm normally trying to add the ink more heavy to the base of the image rather than the tip, and that will give you a beautiful kind of blended opulent look, and that's what I'm going for here. To add that a little bit more, to kind of add more depth and interest, I am adding a little bit of that eucalyptus just at the base of the petals as well. For the yellow flowers, I'm going to go first in with the golden honeycomb. And for the yellow flowers, I'm going to use the kind of small ones that we have. We have some smalls on the right, and we also have one little one on the left. And I'm kind of doing that one to balance out the yellow that I'm using on this. As well as that, I'm going to use a little bit of the amber blaze just to add in some deeper touches to the center or the base of the petals that we have there. For the blues, I'm firstly going to go in with water hyacinth. This is a very kind of pale purpley blue and it is very pretty. I am using mini blending tools for all of my ink blending today, but you can use whatever size that you have and whatever one that you find works best for you. To add a little bit more shade to this, I am going to go in with the Alpine Aster just at the base of those petals to give that beautiful soft look there. For my purples, I'm going to be using the Pale Mauve. This one is very juicy. I probably added a little bit too much down on the first go, but I still think it looks very pretty. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in 3 flowers with this pale mauve colour. I'm going to add the one at the bottom, one right at the left, and then one at the top next to the blue one that we have just done. To add in a darker shade to the purple, I am going to be using the very pretty amethyst colour just to add in that darker shade. I love the fact that this image has so many flowers, so you're able to add in so many different colours. I'm then going to add in the rose. I'm going to start off with the dusty pink and I'm going to add more of that colour just at the base of the petals and kind of lift off my blending tool as I'm going closer to the edge to give that gradient look. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the blush rose just to the base of those to add that a little bit more darker look, which makes it very pretty. It was at this point I then decided I wanted another blue flower, so I'm going to use those same colours as before to kind of even out the colours that we have here. So this is the water hyacinth, and I'm going to add that to kind of the base of the petals that we have, starting from the centre. And then as before, I'm going to be using the alpine aster to add in a darker shade to those petals as well. This is so pretty. Even if you wanted to, you could use elements of this on various different cards, or you can just do what we're going to do and do the whole piece and then cut it up for panels. For the other leaves that we have here, I am going to be using the Misty Sage to add in the kind of base layer to those, and I'm also going to be using the Mossy Meadow to add in the darker shading. I love the fact we can use different greens on this to give a varying different feel. So once we have finished with the first stencil, I'm going to go ahead, remove that one, and then we're going to add the second stencil into place. It is so easy to add these stencils into place. You can see through them, you can see exactly where you're going to go. And we're going to be doing exactly the same techniques and colours on the kind of various different flowers on this stencil and all of the others. So for the kind of fatter leaves that we have there, we're going to go in with the Misty Sage and the Mossy Meadow. For the blue flowers, we have the Water Hyacinth and the Alpine Aster. For the yellow flowers, we're going to be going in with the Golden Honeycomb and also the Amber Blaze. And then for the kind of flourishes that we have, we're going to be going in with the Eucalyptus and the Jade. For the purple flowers, we're going to go in with the Pale Mauve and Amethyst. And for the rose, we have the Dusty Pink and Blush Rose. And for all of this, we are going to be adding more of that ink to the base of the petal, and then kind of bringing that out towards the tip. And then we're going to use the darker colour to add in the more of the shading that we have. And we're just going to keep doing that as we go through the stencils using the same colours. And I do find that it's easier to kind of have them all laid out around you, so you can easily kind of pick them up with your mini blending tool. Because the image is so large, it does take a little time to kind of colour this all in. But the fact that the image is so large means that we're able to kind of just cut this up and create various different panels really quickly and easily. So you can kind of really create different looks with the 4 panels as well. So I'm just removing that piece there, and then we can go on to adding a little more detail. So I'm going to be using the woodless colouring pencils from Altenew. I know these have been retired now, but if you do have them, these are a perfect kind of implement to add in to create various different shades on here. You can also use just the woodless watercolor pencils, and you can get the same effect as this, but don't add any water. So I'm just going to use 2 of the kind of darker oranges that we have in the pencils, just to add a different kind of flick effect to those. I'm just kind of scribbling away at this, adding a couple of different strokes for the center of the flowers, and really lifting my pencil up really quickly to get that really faded gradient effect at the end. I don't want to colour the whole of the image. This is just adding some extra detail lines in there. And I find that if you add these in, it really does add a lot to the image overall. So to kind of explain my technique, what I'm doing is I'm just flicking the pencil from the base of the petal and just adding a tiny bit of colour to those. I started off with the kind of mid shade and then added a darker shade, and I really narrowed my stroke length, to add a more detailed kind of look to that. To add in frills, you're just going to want to add in a couple of different strokes from the top of the petal, and this will give you a kind of frilly, ruffled feel to the image. It's really quickly and easily to do, and I find that once you have already coloured in your image, it's kind of easier to practice on. So if you are scared about kind of giving this technique a go of just adding some quick strokes to the images instead of kind of coloring all over, I would suggest that you do something like this. So go ahead, do all of your blending with your ink, and then just add in a tiny bit of detail with another medium. And my favorite medium to do this is coloring pencils. You can probably also see that the pencils that I chose weren't kind of perfectly toned to the image. So I kind of got ones that were close, but not perfect. Reason being that it's going to give a little bit more interest in detail. If you do change up the color a little bit, you could definitely even kind of ink blend in one color and then go in with a completely different color. I think what would have been very pretty if I had ink blended in yellow and then gone in with these kind of detail strokes with a pink. I think that would be very, very pretty, but I didn't do it here. So I am just going to keep going ahead and going in with this detail. I would say as well, if you don't feel comfortable with adding little strokes like this, you don't have to. It's still going to look very, very pretty when you have just done your ink blending. So don't worry too much. But I would say just give it a go. Just have a play, and it is going to make a lot of difference to the overall image at the end. It's going to add so much detail, so much depth and dimension, and it doesn't take too long because you're going to be able to create 4 cards out of this whole panel in one go. So once I have finished adding in all of the details, what I'm then going to do is I'm just going to cut these into 4 panels. I'm just taking my trimmer and I'm cutting these 4 panels into 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we're just halving the sheet and then halving the sheet again to create 4 different panels. And we are going to kind of do these differently so we can have 4 different looks. So for the first panel that I have here, I have gone in with the Dark Night Artist marker, and I'm just going to go around the image, and I'm then going to color in the background. This is one of my kind of favorite things to do with these kind of images when we have those really soft pastels. Adding a dark background really makes them pop. So I'm just going to pop that panel over to the side, and we're going to do the same thing again, but with a different color this round. And this time it's going to give us a really different look. So this is the Pumpkin Pie marker. And as you can see, I've just colored in the whole background with that, and that has given us a totally different look with the dark background that we have. I then wanted to add in some really fabulous gold, and this is one of the essential permanent markers, and this just works perfectly. So this is the gold one, but you could definitely use the black one or the silver. As you can see, I haven't covered the whole panel because what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of use that gold that I've added down as a bold kind of outline. So I'm just going to fussy cut around that to create that look. I'm then going to move on to creating my sentiments. So I have the fabulous Solid Sentiment Strips 2 on my hot foiling machine, and I'm just going to kind of create loads of different ones of these sentiments using all of the different goldy colors from Altenew's hot foil rolls. As you can see, I have my hot foil plate faced up on here, and that is nicely warmed up. I'm then going to add on my foil shiny side down. I'm then going to add on the panel that I want to foil. I did have to add a shim on mine just to make sure that all of the kind of solid elements were coming out perfectly, and then went ahead, added the top, and then run that through my die cutting machine. And then as you can see, I did go to town and I created a lot of these. I love creating lots of different sentiments in one go. It's not my favorite part of creating cards. So the fact that we're able to kind of create these so quickly and easily really does make me very happy. Another great thing about the Solid Sentiment Strips 2, One Go Solid Sentiment Strips 2, is the fact that you can use the One Go Solid Sentiment Strips die. So you can use this on both 1 and 2 to create all of these different elements all in one go. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut all of those out, and here are the panels that we have now. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add that onto a little black panel, and I'm then going to create all of my cards. So I have the gold one with the gold outline, which is very, very pretty, on a black panel. For the white one, I've just added a little bit of splatter using some black ink spray, and then we have the dark background ones over to the side. And all I've done is I've added these onto some card bases, and I've just added one sentiment from the sentiment strips on a little bit of foam to pop those up, and they are just perfect. I love the fact that you can create so many cards in one go, and you have just a really great time creating different looks with the same panels. I really do hope that you've enjoyed the cards today, and don't forget to hop along. Hello there, crafty friend, Lydia here. Just popping in to say that you can get your daily dose of crafting tips, techniques and tutorials just like this by subscribing to the Altenew YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on that little bell up there and you will never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.